All right, good morning, everybody. I just want to go over a couple of things here in the NBA Retro League. Mostly that draft that I proposed to go down in early April. I think it'll be just like we draft in the regular season, where you go to the system and you enter in bids and you can make multiple groups of bids. Now, if we did do this draft in early April, it's coming soon, but we have enough time to prepare for it. You don't have to waive players. If you don't want to participate, you don't have to. And you can hold on to your expensive guys and try to trade them throughout the rest of the offseason. And then at the end next year, when we enter the regular season and you're over the cap, you can just let them go then. That's fine. Just wanted to put that out there. Maybe Ben Johnson's thinking that way with Giannis. So that's fine. You don't have to really do anything big in this draft, but I kind of thought it would be fun while we're all thinking basketball to maybe draft our free agents coming up for next year. Clear out some roster space. I've provided you guys with all your information on contracts, what these guys are going to get paid next season and beyond. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a gravelly throat. Okay, so you can do, it gives you all that information. I give you that right as the season ends and give you plenty of chance to, go on and make some cuts and maybe participate in that draft. I think it would be a lot of fun. The one drawback I do know is that you won't know their salary information for next year if they're a free agent. I would say in that situation, then just go to ChatGTP and they'll help you out with that. They'll kind of give you a ballpark of what the guy's looking for, and you kind of get an idea what guys are worth and what they'll be looking for. So even though you don't have that information, you could still draft them with confidence, feeling that you know about what they're going to sign for. And if it doesn't work out, they sign for a lot more in the end during the summer. They get a bigger contract. You could always let them go. It's just part of the business of the game, And I think there's always a chance to like flip players and find a good player that will help your rotation. The best players are going to be hard to come by because people aren't going to trade them. They're always going to be taken usually. There will be some of them on the free agent market. That probably changes a little bit this season with a new team coming into the league. We have one expansion team. Maybe we'll have more. We'll see. There's plenty of time before May. I mean, I don't mind adding somebody even in the middle of summer. If somebody wants to come on, I'll just basically be like, okay, here's your cap space, and I'll allow you to sign 7 players and you'll participate in the October draft with the rest of us. But here, go out there and spend what you want on 7 guys. Leave enough for the rest of your roster come draft time. Okay, so if we drafted in April, that'd be pretty cool. I think we could handle it, and I think it's a good time of year to do it because we're all watching basketball. The tournaments going on, the Final Four tournament, and you got the NBA coming up on the end of the season. They still have like a month left to play. Not quite, actually, about 2 weeks. And then they got the playoffs. So basketball is going to be center stage for a while. I don't see why we can't do our free agent draft when basketball is the main thing. You've already drafted your baseball teams by this time. By the time April 1st comes around, so yeah, why not fill that time in with a little free agent action for about 8 days? That's all it is. 3 transaction periods. You would want to familiarize yourself with the system, how you make bids and how you can do different groups of bids. So you could be like, I want a point guard, a small forward, and a power forward. You could just have a group of point guards you're bidding on, a group of power forwards, and a group of small forwards. And you're not going to like sign 2 point guards when you didn't need 2 point guards. You'll sign one. You tell the group, say, just sign one max player from this group, and it will just take the top guy that you got that's available when you pick. And you could do that for all the groups. So you could basically arrange, if you know what you're doing, you can plan for a very thoughtful draft here, even using just normal draft picks and not like, it's my turn, I get to pick. And it's not that hard. And there's tutorials all over the website. I haven't moved the cursor since I got here, but if you go to trades, you'll find them. There's tutorials right up here. There'll be a question box, and it'll just take you to whatever you're looking for, whatever is pertinent to what you're doing now. You'll be in the trade box, and you hit the question mark, and it's going to tell you how to do bids. Not trades, but bids. So if you're going to go in here and go after players, you might want to do this. Submit claim. Submit. Dismiss. I'm not allowed to right now. My point was that the question mark up here is going to help you guys out. I'm losing my train of thought because I got one more thing to cover in this video. If you're still with me, thank you. Okay, look. There was some trades that went down in the league recently, and AJ Nardi had contacted me and was just kind of curious if I had any opinions on them. So I thought, okay, I'll make a little video. Let's look at AJ's trade first, since he inquired. He's been a little bit busy. AJ acquired the top 3 picks in this draft coming up, and that includes the rookie draft. If we do a separate rookie draft, he has those 3 picks, and he has he's basically got the first pick in this one coming up. But all the other picks he has don't really do him any good, because if we do a period where we, like the 3rd of April is the first chance you can sign players, only the guys that are allowed to sign players during that period will sign them, and it'll just be one player in that transaction period. The next transaction period on the 6th will be multiple players, up to like 4 per team in that period. If somebody signed a player in the first round, they'll get up to 3 in the next round. And then there's that final period on, I don't know, the 10th or something. And that's when you can sign as many players as you can get, up to 8 for the whole 3-day period. That's the whole way it's going to go down. All right, so let's get past that. So he traded for the first 3 picks. I like what the Nuggets did there, obviously, because Wembanyama was going to get really expensive in the near future. He has one more bargain year left, and then he's going to be quite costly. So it's not a bad idea to go into what is being considered a very deep draft. Get a wingman. There's a wingman up at the top. There's a point guard. You could take Boozer. You could have all 3 down. You could have the big man. You could have the wing, and you could have the point. Not too bad of a role. And if all of them succeed, that would be awesome. Now, history has shown me that there's usually at least one failure in the top 3. Just one of them just doesn't live up to what you thought it was going to be. So just bear that in mind. That's just something I noticed, but it doesn't have to always be the case. Maybe this is an exceptional year. So that's the way I would proceed. I'd be like, I don't care about those statistics. I'm going after the 3 top rookies if that's who I want. And that'll be later on in October anyways. In this draft right now, I can't imagine what kind of free agent activity the Nuggets would be down for. They might want to do something here. They traded off Trey Murphy, who's a good small forward, to the Rockets for one of those rookie picks. I think it's a great trade for both teams. The Rockets really needed a wing, and the Nuggets are kind of trying to build a new thing here. But just looking at the Nuggets situation from contracts and stuff, this is this year's. Hold on. Just bear with me, getting organized here in my thoughts. Now let's look at it. Here we go. Here's the updated roster for the Nuggets. And you can see they're at $215 million right now. We have a $235 million cap coming. So they've only got $20 million under the cap. There's a good chance that this team can't even afford their 3 rookies. And they certainly can't afford to negotiate with any of their free agents. Quentin Grimes, Tim Hardaway, Cameron Thomas. I don't think they really care too much about these players. Russell Westbrook. But they can't negotiate with them. And that leaves them very thin on the roster. I'm counting like 6, maybe 9 players or 10 players. Jason Tatum seems to be doing well. They've got a good, sturdy wing there. He seems to be playing well from the last box scores I've seen. But with just $20 million, somebody's got to go, I think. This team's going to have to make a tough decision. They got a lot of money planted on Shai Gilgeous, which is worth every dime. Sabonis, if he's healthy, he's worth that $45 million. Tatum's kind of spendy. He'll probably come in at, he's coming in at 58.5 next year. They really don't have a lot of money for these rookies, and perhaps the Nuggets turn and send one of these picks out for maybe some sort of utility player, a bargain player. I'm not really sure, but they're set up for the future. They've got 3 marquee players. They're bringing in some talented rookies. They hit the jackpot on something there. Spend their money wisely. They're going to have to make a tough cut in my position. Anthony Black's always a guy that he's good. He can play well, but he's kind of in that middle range of expensiveness. He's kind of an expensive prospect. I have a guy like that in my team now. I have a Reed Shepherd, an expensive project player, really. These guys can step up big sometimes and then just disappear on you. But they're young and they've got some upside. But they're also expensive. That Reed Shepherd $11 million deal is going to start looking kind of expensive if I need some guys to fill in for guys that are hurt. If I need some depth, that contract's going to look kind of expensive. And the same thing goes with Anthony Black. I have experience with this player. I had him on my team, and he was playing well at times. I was really happy with him. I liked him out of college. But he had a couple of performances, and I'm like, I need more, and I eventually assembled a roster that won the championship. Now, that was a lot of good fortune with injuries and things like that. My team got hot at the right time, but that's how it went down. I just couldn't afford Anthony Black. And at that price, you wonder, they need to free up about that much money to be able to afford their top 3 picks in the rookie draft. There's some other guys here I think they might be able to look at. I'd say Trey Murphy is definitely worth the money. Got to keep your young player, Ace Bailey. Yeah, that contract on Anthony Black is looking like one that they might scrutinize. So that being said, the other trades that were made, I made a couple of them. One with my brother, I sent him Jalen Brunson, who is now the Poway Eagles starting point guard, and that's a good one too for them. So Jalen Brunson joins them. I think that's a good deal for him. He sends me Reed Sheppard, an expensive project, and a second-round pick in this year's draft. And he didn't really have a ton of money, my brother. So he's like right at the cap right now. So it makes sense for him to make that deal with me, even though, people would be like, well, you're throwing in the pick. Well, I'm throwing him a starting point guard in Jalen Brunson, who's still going to be good next year, taking on a project that's very expensive. I just need an extra pick. That's all I really wanted. I think it was a great deal for both of us because he gets what he needs. He doesn't even really have to draft in this offseason. I might be getting short on time because I've been rambling, so I'll just move along really quickly here. I think I made one other deal here. My memory always fails me when I'm under pressure. Let's see here. Well, I made this one for the Knicks. Yeah, I think that was the only one I made for the Saints. I made a deal for the Knicks, and that was I sent Diabate and Jaden McDaniels over to, or I took them from the Rockets, and I gave up Sadiq Bey and Jared Allen. That's a good trade for Houston. I even threw in a draft pick for them. No, they threw in the draft pick. I'm sorry, I'm totally mixed up right now. Yeah, they threw in the draft pick and the 2 players. I'm just going really young with the Knicks right now. I just want to go really young. And I was trading the best assets for what I thought was like some decent young assets that somebody would be willing to give up because it's really hard to trade for young, talented players. People don't want to give them up. So Diabate and McDaniels. McDaniels is a little more expensive, but hey, he's a wing. And then that draft pick, Houston might have a late second rounder next year, though, because their team is looking a lot better this year. They have a starting lineup going into the season. So they're already set. If you look at what the Rockets have done during this transaction period, I'll pull it up just real quick. There they are. You got a starting lineup of Scotty Barnes and Trey Murphy up front, Jared Allen in the middle, Jamal Murray and James Harden in the backcourt. Pretty strong. They come in with a good 6th man, and this is going to be a good team. All right, that's all I've got on things. I would really like to hear your input. Are you down with an April draft? It's coming in about 5 days, April the 3rd. I need to know if not everybody is comfortable with it. I'm not going to proceed. We'll just do it like we did last year. I want to give you guys enough time to adjust to it because I kind of threw it on you quickly here, like out of nowhere. So I'm willing to wait a year and do it next year if that's what you guys don't, if everybody's not comfortable with it. But I would like to do a separate rookie draft in the future. And I'd like to do our free agent draft, after our playoffs in mid-May or mid-March, and then that point between then and the end of the season. I think it's a perfect time to do free agent drafts and cuts because everybody's thinking about basketball. Okay. I think my voice is shot. I'll talk to you guys later.